I am, excuse me, I'm both the attorney for Occupy Newark and a member of the group, although I'm not actually occupying. I have family responsibilities, but I'm out there fairly often, and Angela is actually one of the people who coordinates everything and is sleeping in a tent many nights. We thought it would be helpful to the mayor if we made sure that that his administration has an understanding of what we're trying to do out there.
Okay.
You know, I think it's very easy for there to be an us and them, and then we go in our separate corners. But I think it's interesting that you know, my understanding of who Mayor Booker is and who he intended to be as mayor when he was running is very similar to many of the things that we want to accomplish with this movement. So in a sense, we have unified goals, and we really should be working together instead of against each other.
Okay.
That's you know, when I say those things, this is a leaderless movement, so I'm not. I'm speaking as much on my own behalf and as much as an attorney as I am as a member of this group. But I think everyone feels that, you know, we would feel better if we had the mayor's support on this, because this really is a peaceful movement. It's our intention to abide by laws as much as we can with a movement of this type. You know, my counsel to the group is to avoid any unnecessary law breaking. So, you know, if you visit the park, you'll see that we're not out there smoking marijuana. We're not out there fornicating in the park or open containers or any of those things. We are aware that there is a person who, for example, is going into the Robert Treat and representing himself to be one of us and stirring up trouble there, but that's not sponsored by this group. We know who he is. He has participated in some of our general assemblies, and in fact he's out there now, but my counsel to him and my counsel to the whole group is that we're not doing anything like that. I felt like if we came here and gave you that type of a reassurance that we don't intend to interrupt city business, we don't intend to interrupt, for example, the policing function. You know, if the Robert Treat calls and says, hey, we have an uninvited person who's causing trouble, you know, we want you to know he's not with us, and whatever the police feel is necessary to do in that case.
Can you, what type of activity is he doing that you guys would consider like not sanctioned? Or not, that you wouldn't support?
Well, decisions are made in a general assembly. You know, direct action is something that has to be discussed among us, and we have to decide if it's to be done in the name of this group.
I actually went out there. It was pretty neat. It's almost kind of like a town hall type meeting.
Absolutely.
And people vote on it, and it's got to be a consensus.
Yes.
That's amicable.
He on the other hand is walking, for example, into the Robert Treat. He's done it at other places as well. Asked for room rates with no intention of renting anything. Gets into an altercation with the desk clerk, and then when security responds, you know, I don't know if he's fighting back or if he's enticing them to use force against him, and then he'll turn around and come back the next day and do it again. You know, to my recollection, he's done it at least 3 or 4 times.
And he's never been arrested?
He was told that he was being charged with simple assault, but he tells me he never saw any paperwork, and that he was never taken into custody or fingerprinted or anything.
He's mentally ill. He's not all there. And essentially, he's like many of the other people that you find walking the streets of Newark, where they're there, and then they're gone for a while.
Yeah. So the only thing I ask, like, what is he doing that you guys don't support? And I know what that means, but you know, I worry about someone taking, you know, what you guys are doing, which the administration does support, and then mixing it so that someone who doesn't have intimate knowledge just takes it as another representative of the group and saying, well, this is going in a direction that we didn't anticipate. And so unfortunately ends up affecting everyone.
Right.
So if it was something that we could parse out, I mean, even if it's like getting a homelessness outreach person out, to try to engage this person, which, you know, probably would be a better alternative than locking them up. But as long as, you know, we can kind of separate the stuff you don't support from the stuff you do support.
It's the difficult part of all of this is the fact that we are supplied donations of food for us to eat that we share with the neighboring homeless community. We are donated clothes, which we also share with the neighboring community, and so it's a public park, and we're not going to deny him something to eat for whatever reason of his behavior. So it becomes a little harder because where's the line of humanity in all of this? It's cold out there. If he wants to eat something, he wants a coat. How do you deny him the same charity that we're offering to anyone that approaches the park?
Do you know the guy's name?
Yes.
What is it?
Rocky
Granata. The last name is Granata. Nata.
I mean, what I can do is just start from our social service end, and maybe we can just get one of our. I'm sure he's probably not the only homeless person you have out there.
Are you certain he's homeless?
I don't know if he's homeless. He has a car.
Oh, okay.
He
not
has
necessarily
mental
that's-
issues. That much is without question.
But
Okay.
in terms of him being homeless, we don't know.
Okay.
That's just an example, Mr. Santiago, of something that I wouldn't want the mayor to assume that we're behind.
No, and we really appreciate that. I mean, I'll be honest. You know, there's only so much I can say on behalf of the administration, but
Of
I would
course.
say that we've been supportive. You know, both the idea of the movement, and then, you know, it's not like we went in and kind of like washed you guys out of the park. So we support what you're doing.
We did have one night where the police seemed to be receiving some orders that weren't that don't comply with what you're now telling us.
Yeah, so I think initially the position ours was we were trying to I don't know how this is to word this correctly, so don't hold me to it, but
Okay.
I think the idea of not putting in tents was something that came from New York, and we just kind of wanted it to kind of follow. So if there was some issue when the tents first went up, then
I was out there at 3:00 in the morning. It got a little weird.
Well, that's probably what it was. I think the idea of having the movement there was separate from the idea of actually putting up structures.
Right.
Because there's been a kind of like almost New York set the precedent. It, you know, went for a while, and then now there's no tents.
Right.
So I think that was the position that we were taking. You know, obviously that's changed, and so again, we just want to continue kind of to work for. You know, for me, you know, personally, I want to see it to become more than just,
Right.
you know, some folks parked in a park, right? I mean,
Yes.
you know, I would like to see what the next evolution of it is. You know, but again, I think the kind of the administration wants to allow you guys the latitude to exercise your free speech, like any, you know, citizen should. But as long as it's not really impacting anyone to the point where all the stakeholders, you know, are satisfied with what's going on,
Right.
then I don't think it's going to be an issue for anyone. But
Does that mean, if I may ask, there's a resolution on the council floor now that I believe is being voted on Wednesday to suspend the curfew of that park. When that resolution is passed, as we understand it, will likely pass unanimously through the council. Will the mayor support that, or will he veto it?
I can find out.
Okay.
I can find out.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I don't
No,
even mean
no,
to
of
put the mayor
course.
on the spot.
No, that's
but,
okay.
But if he says he's for us, that seems like a simple way to demonstrate.
I think that's well, there's other considerations one has to take, obviously, but
Sure.
I think it's a fair enough question, and you should be able to get a straightforward answer on it.
And I mean, Cory Booker himself actually protested in the same exact form in his earlier years. So we are not reinventing the wheel. We are doing something that he did, and he had no problems with the local administration when he did it.
Yeah, no, I'm it's a very straightforward question. I should be able to get a straightforward answer on, and then I'm happy to follow up with you guys.
We would appreciate that.
Sure. And do you know, I haven't looked at the resolution myself, so it's a temporary suspension.
Every 30 days.
Okay.
It gets revoted on.
Okay. And do you know what agenda it is planning to go on?
It's
December 7th.
December 7th, 12:30 hearing.
Okay.
Is there any other support that the mayor might be willing to give our movement?
Okay.
I don't think anyone would be offended if I asked the mayor to consider putting out porta-johns.
And for clarification reasons,
Mm-hmm.
although we are in solidarity with NJ Monitor and NJ Monitors and the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition and POP, they are not part of our occupation. They are just in solidarity with
Mm-hmm.
us.
So I know POP, NJ Monitor. What was the other group?
The Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. We work in solidarity in support of each other's grievances, but essentially they are not part of our occupation, nor are they part of really our General Assembly. Although they can participate, they are not part of the movement itself. They are just in solidarity with us.
On the side, I was actually
Which is something that it's a misconception that a lot of people have had over us, because in fact they have been participating, but they're not really there. They're only there for General Assemblies to see what we're doing.
no, I got that. The day that I was out there observing, I saw that there was a little back and forth, and so, you know, we have our detractors, and sometimes they seem to be principled for a cause, and sometimes they just seem to be detractors. So what you're seeing is evidence of people protesting just to protest with no real objective, you know, and so. Welcome to our world. So when you have someone who's actually about something being challenged simply because you didn't grow up here your entire life, is the same kind of like, you know, pushback our mayor got because he was, you know, raised in Harrington Park and not Newark.
I was actually raised in Newark.
So, but what I saw was a woman sitting down in a chair, you know, questioning the audacity of someone who would dare protest in her city, almost as if he had to fall underneath her umbrella in order to do so. Like there's this kind of like entitlement to protest, and you got to get in line.
There are weird moments out there like that, admittedly. You know, interestingly, I'm seen by some as a more appropriate protester than Angela is when I've never lived in Newark. I have an office in Newark.
Because you're black.
Because I'm black, and that's not. This movement is non-racial. It's non-political, and I say that to emphasize that I think I'm not speaking out of school when I say we don't care which politician affects social change and which party they come from. We just think things need to change.
You know, and that's again, you know, what a lot of folks really appreciate about what's going on. And it's funny, and I'll leave my personal commentary after this.
Okay.
But when you have someone, quote unquote, protesting with you, who has 2 jobs and makes over $200,000 a year, they're actually part of the 3%, not even the 1%. So. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, let's not start labeling here.
I mean, essentially, we're not trying to